What's up, Kelsey? Nice to officially meet
Uh,
for the
fi-
first time. Holy shit.
Finally. Oh my God. I'm so stoked. How
How's
are you
it? How
doing?
you living? I'm
Congrats.
good. I'm good. I'm just off of work, so I'm
Congrats. Oh,
charged up.
hell yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Congratulations on Sweet Tooth. Obviously, listen to
Appreciate
it.
it.
Love it. I'm so excited.
Hell yeah.
I like to keep these interviews pretty casual.
Totally.
Um, I like a discussion more than like, let me read this interview question for you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll just kind of deep dive into it. Tell me what else you've got going on in the works. Just do a little promo of yourselves, and then we'll kind of dive into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, number 2 is out. I've been putting out a 3-song set. Um, Sort of colloquially titled Experiment 001 through 003, and treating each song as sort of like a case study into myself, and a review of the emotions and feelings I've been going through on these songs. And I've loosely been basing it on like educational or academic studies on the stages of grief, because the songs kind of revolve around not only like a loss of romantic uh life or a romantic experience, but just loss of anything really.
General,
um
yeah.
Going through the experience of loss. And sort of like with this 3-song set, I've been trying to portray the non-linearness of that acceptance of grief.
Mm-hmm.
The final song in this 3-song set, the middle, is sort of this I would call it an apathetic acceptance, a point of acceptance where it's like, shit happens, like it is what it is. Kind of
Yeah.
like the way that Tony Soprano would accept everything that happened in his life. He would be like, it is what it is. And it's
It is
like,
what it is.
yeah, you're experiencing trauma, but that's okay. Um, so that's sort of where I kind of was going with my releases, is I wanted like the first one to be like this tormented and stubborn and like
Fresh kind of grief almost.
unnecessarily braggadocious version of myself, translating into now Sweet Tooth. So that was one call away, and now we're in Sweet Tooth,
Yeah.
which is sort of this jealousy and this need to be like the one, and like this just longing for something that existed before. And then the middle is sort of this realization. I have a line in the middle that I think is like one of my favorite lines that I've written, which is, the universe, it steals it once you find it.
Yeah.
Of
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh.
like, kind of
Yeah.
like kind of like this recognition of, you might be right in feeling hurt, and you might be right in feeling like something was taken away from you, but that's just how it works sometimes, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a good way to sort of encapsulate what's going on with these releases that I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
It kind of all fell into place from there. This is coming off of, we're 2 weeks ish away from the first anniversary of my debut album, Seeing Double.
That's
Um,
we what already?
I know. Yeah,
What?
that's how I came to know
What?
y'all.
I
That's how y'all came to
know.
know me.
Oh my
I'm
God,
wearing my
that's
one of one
crazy.
Seeing Double hat.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I
Congrats.
have
I
some.
can't
Thank
believe
you.
that's already a year old.
I know.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
crazy. Yeah, these songs kind of just came together after that. I was
Yeah.
finishing that up. We were putting out videos. We were doing all the promo regarding Seeing Double towards the end of last year. And then
Hmm.
I was starting pretty much from square one at the beginning of this year. I mean, that was the first time, obviously, I put together such a long form project.
Yeah, I
And
was
so
about to say,
there was not a ton left on the cutting room floor. I'll be quite
yeah.
honest. And
How is that as an artist? Like you kind of release this whole baby and then you're like, oh fuck, I have to start that entire process again.
it's scary. It's scary because I think, so for the better part of 2021, now backing up even more, I recorded the bulk of that project in like the heart of quarantining in the pandemic. It was
Makes sense.
mostly
Yeah.
recorded in like the latter half of 2020. And so I wasn't, for 2021, I was really just focused on tweaking those as much as possible to the point where they were like the 10 best songs that I had ever made. And on the side, like I was recording things, I was making beats, I was still working, but the writer's block was sort of setting in. It wasn't, I felt like I had a completed thing here, and now it was more like I'm focused on finishing this, but what's coming together on the side here isn't like really moving me or anything. And I think at the time it was like, okay, like I have a lot to work with already, so I'm not really as disturbed by that writer's block as usual.
That's
But
good. That's
like
good.
literally the moment I put out the album, then it started to set in of like, oh shit, like
No, you're like, fuck.
now I'm like here and I put out this music and like I only have these ideas, but it kind of just worked out perfectly. I mean, um towards the beginning of 2022, things just kind of coincided with my personal life, and I just had a lot to talk about, a lot to write
Say,
about, a lot to
yeah.
say, and it all just kind of came out in the music. Sweet Tooth, it's fun that Sweet Tooth just came out, because that was like the only thing that I carried over from previous years. I made that beat towards the end
Oh,
of 2021, like right before I put out the album, and
yeah.
then I didn't really do anything with it, but I knew I wanted to, and I came back to it, and it kind of came to me.
Thank
I think it
God.
was the first one of these three that I recorded,
Oh my gosh.
and then yeah, the middle came to me like a month after that, and then a month after that came One Call Away,
Holy
and it just kind
crap.
of, yeah, it just worked. Like
But that's
it could not have worked out.
impressive.
It legitimately could not have worked out more perfectly. Like those
Yeah.
three songs, I felt like just fit together sonically and thematically, and I was like,
Well, it's
if
like
as
the
long,
art gods were like,
yeah,
yes, sir, here you
100%,
go.
100%. And I mean, since then, I think I just like really learned from that moment of having that album done and going into this. I feel like I really just learned how to pace myself. So these songs, like I said, started on them really early this year, and then they were pretty much finished for, I'd say, 3 or 4 months. And in that
Wow.
span of time, I've made tons more songs, and I already have
Fuck yeah. So you're
so many
ready.
plans for music in the
Hell yeah.
coming year and a half. Like
Yeah.
it's now I feel much more comfortable um putting out releases, because I already know what's coming next. I already know where I'm
Fuck
going
yeah.
next, and things can
It's
change, and
not an
I'm
unknown. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. I've come to accept that there may come a day where these songs that I'm already planning releases for, and that I'm already thinking about, super far in the future, there may come a day where I decide, you know what, actually, let me scrap this, let me
Yeah.
change this up, let me fit things in.
But that's
But
kind
just
of the
a,
nice thing about having that creativity is like,
yeah,
yeah, you can set a plan, but like it may not come to fruition as you imagine it now. But nonetheless, like the fact that you can output so much good music, first of all, not even just music, but like actually listenably great music
hmm,
is just like impressive because I would cry of just like I don't know what
hmm,
to do next, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's such a process, and especially with these three songs that you have that are so like thematic and like work with one another about grief and everything like that. Like, do you foresee yourself kind of doing more projects like that, or are you wanting to do another album, another EP? Like, what's kind of the thought process in that brain of yours?
I've really liked this format of releasing music, because I just feel like
Yes.
it keeps me at the forefront of people's brains for longer than
Yes,
just like
it does. Yeah.
the moment where I put music out. And I feel like I'm
Yeah.
still, I mean, I just dropped song 2, so I'm really like
Yeah.
just about to see the results of that.
Yeah.
But um I think it just really works out nicely, because then like the middle is the song that I'm, I feel like you don't want
Is
to
that your baby?
pick favorites from your babies,
That's
pick
your
a favorite from your
baby.
kids, but it's like my favorite song I've ever made. So I get to
Hell yeah.
really say like this is the conclusion to this part of this era
Yes.
of
Yes.
my
Yeah.
artistic
Yeah.
life, and so I've really liked this format, and I do think I want to do something with it, something similar in the future with some singles. But I guess there's no better time than my first podcast to say that I am loosely starting on another pretty long form project. I have like
Thank God.
some rough sketches. I have some songs recorded. I have a lot to work with and a sound that's kind of coming together. And I'm really excited about it. I've been working on that, starting to work on it for the last few months since I got back to Chicago.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm locked in and I have a lot to work with, and I think it's just gonna
Oh yeah.
come down. It's just gonna come down to um, once I get the releases I have in mind for next year in order,
Hmm.
just deciding, okay, this other material that I'm already working with, you know, how does it make the most sense in my head to unfold this, to release it, to package
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and just timing. I think I've
Oh
just figured
yeah.
out also, like, it just has to come down to when is everything ready, not when am
Yeah.
I ready to release this music, not it's when am I ready to release this music, and I also have the perfect art for it, and I also have the perfect promo, and I also have the perfect
Yes.
timeline for it, and I'm not on other bullshit. I don't have other crazy things going on in my life, so I can focus on these releases. Because yeah, that was the way I was thinking about it. I was like
Yeah. Yeah. I
picking
mean,
out
you
these
kind of have
dates.
to. Yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of have to like make it fit into your life because it is such a like we said, baby. It is such a you have to, especially as an
Hmm.
artist nowadays, you have to do kind of all of it. You have to do the social
Exactly.
media, the
Exactly.
promo of it. So it's like, yeah, you have to be physically ready. You have
Yeah.
to be mentally prepared. And
And I
you're
think,
pretty collaborative, right? Like
yeah,
you like working with other people. So how does
yeah.
that kind of factor into that timeline too? Because do you have people that you just know already you're going to work with, or do you think like you're kind of waiting for the perfect person for certain songs? Like, what does that kind of process look like for you?
First and foremost, I want to shout out my boy Liam McGee.
Aw,
That's yeah, like one of my best friends of my entire life, but also just like one of the best and easiest people to collab with. Every
hell
time I
yeah.
have a finished product, every time I have something that I know is going to see the light of day, like
Hmm.
he's the first person I talk to about it, really. Because
Yeah.
he, up until this year, so I went and had these songs mixed by a different engineer that I met this year. Shout out to Ben DeSoto. Um, he did all the mastering for these songs though, and he's done the mixing and mastering for everything before it on my solo work.
Hell yeah.
And he's also just an amazing producer and a great writer and a great singer, and like he is also in Chicago, so now that I've been back here, it's been a lot easier to collaborate with him. And he's kind of just my go-to, and he's just
Yeah.
like one of those people that I've developed such a close relationship with personally, especially like when I was working on Seeing Double. He became one of the people that I would talk to the most often because we were
Hmm.
locked down and we didn't have much else to
Yeah.
do. He was all the way in
Right.
Philadelphia. I was in Santa Barbara, California. We were talking
What?
probably, every week, every couple weeks, and we would just sit on FaceTime for hours and just talk
Yeah.
about life. And it fed directly into the music that we were working on, like um obviously that had its challenges as far as
Yeah.
collaboration, as did that
Yeah.
time with anything.
Oh
But
yeah.
um he's always been my go-to. I have a good friend of mine named Pierce. He goes by the name Goldie. um he's fucking awesome as well. He works in a sort of different lane, so I really like working with folks like that. He's more in like a dance electronic wave. I really love working with folks like that though, because it really takes me out of my comfort zone a little bit. It makes me think out of the box as far as writing, as far as producing. It just makes me a chameleon. I like to
Yeah.
be a chameleon. And he's just
Well,
become,
you even have that like influence. You can hear it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So like
yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, he's just like another person that's been a close friend of mine. But I'm just always looking to expand as far as collaborations, especially in the city of Chicago. I think that it's weird to say that Chicago is an underrated city, but there's
No, I
so
agree.
much fucking talent coming out of this city. It's fucking crazy.
I literally
Um,
was about to say that. I was going to ask you like, Chicago is kind of a very underrated music scene, I would say.
yes.
But just from like what I've been getting in like our inbox and our world, like it's a lot of Chicago artists, and I'm like,
Yes.
where are all y'all coming from?
And it's the craziest shit because it'll be all over the map. It'll be
Oh yeah,
anything you could think. It'll be like I feel like we're probably best known for the hip hop that comes out of this city, especially in the
yeah.
last decade or so. But you'll get the craziest R&B, crazy pop, crazy dance music, craziest shit across the
Emo.
board.
Y'all
Emo,
have the best Midwest
emo, that
emo
Midwest
music.
emo. You already know exactly, and
I
that's been
already know.
blowing up. That's been
Oh yeah, oh
expanding
yeah.
crazy these past couple
It's
years.
it's
Yeah,
literally my favorite.
yeah, no, it's so many dope people here.
Well, it's such a melting pot in Chicago, I think. Like you have, people kind of coming all from all different places into one big city that has
Yeah,
not really like made their name in any specific way, but at the same time it's kind of cool like that. Like, you think of New York, you think of hip hop, you think of LA, you think of pop. Like
hmm
it's almost like genre cities. Seattle is grunge, it's like
hmm
Chicago is this really nice melting pot, and probably for you a really cool place to like, meet people, have people collaborate with you because you get to then in turn work in all these genres under your brand though.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And
Oh, that's so cool.
I think that's the yeah, I think that's the exciting thing about it. Is there is that sense of collaboration in the air too, you know.
Thank God.
Yeah, I just it's really just wild the people who come through here. Um, and I just think maybe more than come through here, it's just important to highlight how many people are just like birthed from this city, you
Oh
know, like
yeah. Oh
there's
yeah.
just so much talent, not even coming to Chicago, just like straight from the go, like here,
Straight out of Chicago.
here. And yeah, I think just like continuing to build on that. I feel like I have a lot of relationships with folks ranging back to, I mean, I went to high school here, so some ranging back as far as that,
That's so
that I'm
cool.
just trying to rekindle and I'm just trying to grow with.
Yeah.
Um,
What made you move back to
so yeah,
Chicago for
this
any
has already been an
purpose?
exciting return back to the city, but I'm just hoping to continue to collaborate with more people.
Was there a specific reason you moved back to Chicago? Like what kind of sparked the return, I guess?
It was sort of what we're talking about. It was the
Yeah.
fact that there's just this musical environment here. Not even just, you know, collaboratively speaking, but just to like to enjoy, just to,
Yeah.
you know, be a part of. Beyond trying to find people to work with, there's just shows here all year round, even in the dead of crazy ass winters that
Freezing
we have here,
winter.
freezing cold. Chicagoans will go out and do anything at any time. It does not matter. But
They're nuts.
yeah, you know, it was so I went to college in Santa Barbara. I did the degree thing for 4 years.
Did you go to University of California?
Yeah, UCSB.
Oh
Yeah, go
yeah.
Gauchos.
Oh
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I
You little
loved it. And
stoner.
absolutely, you better believe it. Um, yeah, I loved my time there. I spent a year there after
Beautiful.
I graduated, and I was working out there. And
Small
I
music
think
scene, not too
very
crazy out there.
very small. I met some very cool people. I met some very talented people at
Good.
in Santa Barbara. Shout out to D Smooth, shout out to JRK, shout out to James, Daryl, all them. But
I love it.
um at the same time, I think it was also just an enjoyment factor. It's just like there wasn't really a lot of places to go see live music, a lot of places
Yeah.
to just immerse yourself in that. Um
Do you think that's
and
important for you as an artist
oh
to
yeah,
kind of immerse
100%.
yourself into shows?
100%. I think one, because I'm trying to perform more eventually. I
I
have
was gonna
not
say,
done
yes,
a lot
please.
of shows really around my music. I've been performing for, you know, a long, long time. I actually started writing as a slam poet. I did slam poetry in high school when I was here in Chicago because it's huge here.
That's cool.
Louder Than a Bomb is like one of the biggest, you know, citywide slam poetry events in the world, in the United States at least.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
know that.
yeah, and I started in that route. So I've always performed. I've always been doing this. and then I continued to do it. I ran our poetry club at UCSB. I was doing everything,
Yes, hell
but
yeah.
yeah, I think that live shows really give me a picture of what I would want that to look like.
Yeah.
And I also, so I do a lot of things. I have a different full-time job, but one of my part-time jobs that I do that really I have been loving is I work for So Far Sounds.
Oh my God, we do a So Far show
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah, yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So
They're the best
yeah.
company
Are
ever.
you a crew member?
No, we partnered with them. So we had our first girl
Oh,
music slash So Far show in San
word.
Diego. It was
That's so
dope. It was
cool. Yeah.
they're
No,
the best
shout out
company
to So
ever.
Far. Shout out to So
Seriously,
Far.
the most incredible people.
Yeah, so that's like one thing that I do, and it's like a
Hell
totally
yeah.
different way of picturing
Oh,
a live show,
100%.
you know? Um,
Well, so
and
intimate.
it's so intimate. And I feel like that's what I've sort of come to understand as just like a live music enthusiast, as somebody who loves live music, is that there's a lot of different ways that shit can look on stage. And I feel like I have, I think before it was this nerve of, do I have enough to even perform? And
Right,
now I have
right.
a lot of
Now
music,
you have a lot to perform.
especially as I talked about a lot of music that I haven't even released yet.
Yeah,
And I think there's a lot of different ways that I could see it being performed. So yeah, I think just like having that live music environment
yeah,
allows me to hopefully make these connections to start performing a lot in Chicago. And in Santa Barbara, it's just
yeah.
not quite there. I also worked at a venue in Santa Barbara. Shout out to the Santa Barbara Bowl. I fucking
Oh,
miss
hell
y'all.
yeah.
That was fun as hell. It's like one of the coolest venues I've been to in the entire world.
What?
And at the same time, like that's our biggest venue. It's kind of one of the only like big music hubs in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
But it's like too big for like an indie artist, a small act to perform
Yes.
at, like we
Yes.
got Lord, we had Bob Dylan come through.
Oh,
Like
hell yeah.
it takes a while to get up to the Santa Barbara Bowl. Like I can tell you that. But I do just think that Chicago is, no hate to Santa Barbara. I loved my time
Yeah.
there. It's
Yeah.
Chicago's just a cooler city. There's just more
Of
happening
course.
here in the
Yes.
entertainment side of things at the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
And I
And you're
think that
perfectly located too. Like
perfectly
you've got
located.
LA, you've got New York, you've got
Exactly.
Austin. I mean, you've got all these places that
Yeah,
I'm sure like kind of help you out, if anything, because
totally.
people come to Chicago all the time. So I'm sure they're reaching out to people like you, like, hey, like let's collaborate, let's
Right. Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's been
Which
exciting.
is so cool.
And I think that just makes it easier, right? Is like, I mean,
Yes.
you could make the argument. I mean, Santa Barbara is probably an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of LA. So you could make that argument, but at the same time, like no one's gonna scoff if they're like, yo, where are you located? And I'm like, Chicago. Like it just makes it easier. It just makes, like,
Yes.
some people don't even know where Santa Barbara is. So
I know.
but you'd also be surprised. Californians, I gotta say it on air, I gotta say it on like an interview.
Do it.
Californians,
Do it.
y'all are the worst with geography, like the absolute
Oh,
worst. Y'all don't know where shit is. Y'all don't know
oh
where
no, we
Chicago was.
fail trivia. We
If I
fail trivia all the
when I
time.
tell people I was born and raised in St. Louis, they're like, is that on like the East Coast? I'm like,
No,
girl. So I mean, at the
no.
same time, I understand Missouri is not worth
No,
really studying much,
I know
but
what St. Louis is. That's so funny because yeah, like literally whenever we do trivia with my friends, we are the worst at geography. I don't know. It's like we didn't learn it. We were all just like, it's just California.
Are you from San Diego?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, San Diego's cool.
But
Definitely.
it's the oh my God, it's the best. But yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, so for you, influence wise, what's kind of making you excited about the music industry right now? What artists are really,
Man.
tickling that fancy?
So I think first of all, I want to say that uh I really obsess over like discoveries, quote unquote. I feel like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
discover is such an alienating term, and such a like,
I mean,
I don't
that's
know
what
how to
we do
explain
all
it.
day. Yep.
Right,
Yep.
exactly. But this year, my absolute favorite discovery of mine, like personal discovery, has been Hammond, Hammond. He's out of Houston.
Okay.
I found
Okay.
out about
I'm
him
gonna.
through Dusty Oregon. I write for the Dusty Oregon
I
too.
loved
Shout
Kane.
out to Kane. Shout
Dude,
out to Kane.
we
That's how I
love
came to know
Kane.
about y'all. Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah,
He is
yeah,
the sweetest baby angel ever.
yeah. He's awesome.
Ooh, this guy looks
Definitely
dope.
shout out
I'm
to Kane.
adding it.
Hammond,
Adding it.
Pirate Radio, the album
Yeah,
is like one of my favorite albums this entire year. And me and
sweet.
Liam, my friend Liam that I referenced earlier, we've been obsessed with this man's
What
music.
kind of vibe are we going with?
It's listed, the album's listed as indie pop. I feel like that's a good way to describe it. It's very
Okay.
like alternative, almost like industrial pop,
Yes.
almost
A little
like
funky?
very alternative R&B, a little funk, a little
Okay.
funky.
Okay.
Yeah, voices just golden. His production choices, like I feel like the choices he makes in his production, and I really love the like airtightness of his album. It's like no skips, just like a short burst,
Oh,
kind of like my album. I
yeah,
really love
yeah.
albums like that. Um, at the
I think
same
that's why we
time,
loved your album too. Like it was
thank you.
just like literally a short burst of like nothing was skipped,
Yeah,
nothing. Like it was
yeah,
just perfect.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we love that, like you get these albums that are like an hour and 15 minutes and you want to cry because you're like, I am so tired of listening to like these filler songs. But your album was just like, again, a burst of all the perfect songs. So I
Yeah,
get that. I get
blessings,
that deeply.
blessings. Yeah, on that note, I mean, I can't get enough of this Gene Dawson album that just came out. I think that he's terrific. Gene Dawson is I have like such a personal connection to his last album, Pixel Bath. It was like
Okay.
such a big album for me, like early 2021 as I was like finishing my album. And so this time around, Chaos Now is that album.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific. Just like
Hell yeah.
he's out of this world. It just doesn't make sense. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of what else has really been going for me. I just got onto Always, ALVVAYS. Yeah,
VVAAYF. Oh, they
that
are
that song
incredible band.
Pharmacist. I think that's the first song
Oh
on the
my
album.
God.
I'm obsessed with that
Non-stop
song.
playing.
It's yeah, because I think especially now at this point in my listening adventures and like
Yeah.
my music making, I'm trying to structure songs differently. I'm trying to approach
Ah,
song structure in a different way than I have. And I think that song is just like the structure of it makes musical sense, but at the same time, like for some reason, it just does
none.
not click in my brain the way that a song usually does. Yeah, for some reason, that song is just like
There's a
on a loop in my
chaos to
head.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a chaos to them that I really
yeah.
like. Ashley always jokes that I love chaotic music, like Black Country New Road.
Mm,
Chaotic as balls. They are
mm,
just out of this world. But like
mm.
that clicks in my brain versus like a normal song structure. So I find myself gravitating towards like that kind of music. And I would say even yours a little bit is kind of not, I wouldn't say chaotic, but it is very out of the box
Yeah, I would hope to be
structurally.
chaotic. I
So
like I
yeah,
like
yeah.
chaos.
Hell
Absolutely.
yeah. You
I
should also check out Papa Rod. I recommend Papa Rod to everyone.
Papa
It's
Rod.
PAW Rod.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I'm familiar. Yeah, absolutely. Papa
he
Rod is
is
fire.
he
Hell
is
yeah.
just killing it. And I think
Yes.
I would almost compare you to because you have you have
Mm,
a soul behind you, like there's a soul
mm.
deep down in there. And I think it
Yeah,
shows in your
somewhere in there.
music.
Somewhere in
It's
there.
somewhere deep down, somewhere beneath the black clothing and the emo
Uh-huh.
tears. There's a
Mm-hmm.
soul in there. But you know, I think that's why your music is so relatable. And I think why people gravitated towards it immediately. Like
Mm,
everyone, when we posted about it, everyone was like jamming. It was
mm.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it was just cool to see an undiscovered artist like yourself just be so beloved immediately, because I think people want that. They want the out of the box structure. They want something different sounding. So, I mean, you really crushed it. You done crushed
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, as far as also like just some other like year-long inspirations I've had, I mean, the Kendrick
Hmm.
album's been big in my
I mean,
rotation.
duh.
It's my number one, and it just has not been surpassed at this point. But I feel like also, you know, we're talking about Chicago, got to shout out Raven Lenae, finally dropped an album and it was just
Look at
miraculous.
you. I'm doing music
Unbelievable.
discovery with you.
Raven Lenae, yo.
Raven. Okay,
Raven
okay,
Lenae.
okay.
Yeah.
I've got it. R&B?
Works. Oh yeah. Works heavy,
Oh
heavy.
yeah.
Works heavy with Steve Lacy. Done a lot of work with
Mm,
him, and he was on a lot of this album. And yeah, I mean Steve Lacy's album obviously also big in
incredible.
rotation.
Yeah.
And then Tori Moa's album I'm obsessed with, Mahal.
It's so underrated, don't you
So
think?
good. I it's my second favorite album this year. I don't understand where it's just like
I don't
not clicking for people, because I just think
thank
like
you. It was brilliant. I thought it was so much
brilliant,
fun.
brilliant,
So
yo.
like just the textures he uses, like that's got to be
Yes,
inspirational to you. Like I know
yes,
you're a pretty
100%.
texture heavy guy, so
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
know,
And I think
that's
I watched a video of him recently where he uses Reason, this is DAW, I think, which is a very unique DAW. And so he was doing like an hour-long interview with them, and he just like was pulling up project files and showing people how he did it. And I feel like his music, like
that's
until
so
you
cool.
really I don't know, it's like very comforting sometimes when as an artist you look at somebody else and you're like, how the fuck did they do that? Like what
Literally.
possibly? And then he'll just pull it up and it'll just be like 5 different tracks, and he's just like, yeah, I mean, like I played the bass and I like did this and did that and just, you know, one another, and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, that's like a lot simpler than I thought
Doable
it
though.
was.
Yeah,
Very doable,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it's just like a moment where you have to kind of put yourself on a relative scale again and remind yourself that if you showed somebody like as yourself, if you showed somebody like the project file for like your most complicated song or like your
Yeah.
least complicated song, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just did this, they'd still be like, anybody who doesn't make music would still be like, what, like
Oh,
how,
a
where?
1000%. Every time I see like a file and it's like one, I'm like,
Yeah,
no, oh my
yeah.
God, how do you all do, especially with electronic kind of music, like the layering on it has just got to
Yeah.
be so tedious. Like, is that
Hmm.
your brain? Are you a tedious
Oh man, you know,
artist,
it's
you
funny. I
know?
was I was just gonna say I have to tell like the story of Seeing Double, how it started. Because Seeing Double, I feel
Yeah.
like over the course of making that album is how I started to simplify things a little bit more. And I feel like how I got things a lot tighter and
Hmm.
stopped overloading my projects. Because
Yeah.
the second song on that album, The Tower,
Hmm.
is the first song that I made for that album. I made it in July of 2020. And so there's that song, and then there's Seeing Double, the third song on the
Hmm.
album, the title track. And they meld together because they were made in the same project file. Like I made it as a two-part
What?
song originally. And
Oh,
because of that, and because there's like so much going on, especially in that second half, that project file was like 147 different audio files. And I sent the song to Liam at first, and he was like, this is dope, like I have to work on this now, like send this to me. Sent him the project file and he was like, yo, do not send me some shit like this ever again. And
he's
so
like,
like
I
I started to
refuse
have,
to open this
because
up
he was like, no, he was like, it literally took me like 3 hours just to
to
label things so
download.
that I can actually mix it. And I had to
Oh my God.
I had to just be smarter about the way and more efficient, because I think that was what it was, is like in that time period, since I was so isolated, I made pretty much that entire album by myself. And so
Yeah.
I didn't have more than me in mind. And it made me
Ah,
realize like, if not just for ease of like mixing my music, because that's just like engineering my own music is like just not something that I personally have the patience for, and I love to have
yeah.
other ears on my music and like other interpretations of it. If not just for my music, I have to realize that if I come into a session with this wonky shit, like with this much shit, like it's going to make it so hard to be collaborative in that sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better about just like trying to make things as simple as possible, cutting as many takes as I can,
Yeah.
getting more perfect takes. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
still funny. Like now that I'm back in the city and I record music with Liam, like he will make me do takes over and over again,
After
like 10,
take.
11 times in a row. And for me, like I'll usually like record just 2 takes and then I'll just be like, all right, that's it. Like,
That
because
would be
I don't know,
me. Yeah.
like I feel like there is a balance to find, is like you have to capture that moment and you have to do it as raw as possible, but at the same time you have to realize when a take is crappy and you're just not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a balance to it, and I think just trying to adapt to people's different approaches to recording and to making music,
1,000%. Yeah.
something I learned
Yeah.
about. And so yeah, I've gotten
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
better about it, but I used to send my engineer triple digit audio files. So yeah,
I
I'm a
hope
better
any
man.
other people, yeah,
I'm a
I hope
better
people
man.
watching this are like, oh my God, sir. But it's also like a good learning lesson for other people who might not realize that like that kind of creation of music can be almost overwhelming for the other people in your life, like the mixers, the masters, the
Mm,
everything like that, and that
yeah,
you really do have to hone in on your craft. It's such an
totally,
art form. It's such an art form. It's
totally.
crazy. I'm always so impressed by people. Like I could never make music ever. I could not do it. I don't have the patience for
You
it. But
could,
like,
you absolutely could.
oh no, oh no,
Because you know
my
what? Because you know what?
ADHD, you know?
You have, yeah, but you have good taste in music, and that's really like where
True,
it all starts
true.
from. And it's funny, like you mentioned like the attentiveness to it and the patience for it. And there is that 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm reading, I don't know if you've read the book about Jay Dilla's life yet.
No, is it good?
Dilla time. I'm just like, I was already obsessed with Jay Dilla as a
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
He's already
yeah.
been one of like the biggest inspirations on my life in music.
That's so cool.
But it's funny, like one of the early parts of that book is the guy laying out um his structure, like the way his day would kind of unfold, like a day in the life of Dilla. And it's just
I
like
love that.
he would wake up and just make beats for like 3 hours, but he would like spend like 20 to 30 minutes on each one and then just like keep going, like throw a record on,
Oh,
chop
yeah,
it up,
yeah.
chop it to existence, move on. And I feel like obviously, like I think that's the way I've approached it now. Is in the past it was like I would spend, and still like there are some songs, Liam and I just recorded a song the other day where we just spent the entire day working on that one song. Some
Yeah,
songs
yeah.
call for that, but my favorite song that I've ever made, the one that I'm about to release, I
Hmm.
made the beat in 20 or 30 minutes. I wrote the song in 20 or 30 minutes. I recorded the song in 20 or 30 minutes. It took me an hour and a half to make that entire song. And I feel like if I had spent 5 hours on
Any
it,
more time?
it would have been worse. It would have not been as
Yeah,
good of a song, I
yeah,
think, because I would have
yeah,
just kept telling myself, oh, it needs more. It doesn't need more sometimes. Like
yeah, yeah.
I think accepting that the simplest, so many people have said this in so many ways, but the simplest version of something can be the best version of something.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Well, you hear
yeah,
music sometimes that's almost too much, and you're like, whoa, 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 this is like
yeah,
grating on my ears. And it's like
yeah,
my brain can't, process that amount of information.
right,
But it's really simplifying sometimes creates the best music, the
right,
best. Like a
right.
guitar and a singer sometimes. And you're like, what? That's
Mm-hmm,
how does this cut me to the core?
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I love that about your music though. It's yes, it's layered, textured, everything, that's all that, but at the core of it, like it really is just you. And I think that's so important is the music you make is just all you. It's you,
Yeah, yeah,
and you can tell through social media, through the songs you're releasing now, like you just very much have a story. And that's what we love about music. That's
I'm
the
glad to
whole
hear.
reason we're here, right? So
I'm glad to hear the
thank
way
you
it's
so
coming off.
much for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Pleasure.
We like to keep it kind of
Absolute.
short and sweet because we just, makes life easier. But like literally you're one of our favorites at Girl. So please, we are always here for you. Next year, especially like if you can get out to San Diego for a So Far show,
Oh,
let a
I
girl
definitely can.
know.
I
Let a girl
definitely
know.
can. You better
Hell
believe
yeah.
it.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah, I got
deal.
family in San Diego. I got people in
Sweet.
California always. And
Sweet.
I work
Sweet.
from home, so it works out. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll be there.
Sweet. Hell yeah. Well, I can't
Yeah,
wait for everyone to hear your next two songs. It's going to be a really good time. And I think you're just going to really find your community and your niche and just really crush it. So
I appreciate
good
that.
job.
Yeah. Shout
Congratulations.
out to the shout out to the girl music community, yo. Yeah, I'm
You
glad y'all
know,
are rocking with it.
we're
I hope y'all
here.
continue to rock. Yeah. And
We
I really
will.
appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Hell yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Thanks so much, Nate. We'll chat soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.